Just before we get this stout party started, I just want to give a big thank you and shout out to the sponsor of the video. You know it by now, the lads over at Manscaped, the global leaders in men's lifestyle and grooming. Every bloke knows the unbeatable feeling of a fresh barbershop shave. Well, there's a new kid on the block, a new product on the block. Manscaped's newest bit of gear. The Chairman Pro, the game-changing tool that brings the luxury of a professional shave right into your home. Whether you're after that daily silky smooth finish or prefer to maintain a rugged 5 o'clock shadow, mine definitely would not be rugged. I would still just look like a 5-year-old. The Chairman Pro electric foil shaver is your go-to for precision and style. Head over to manscaped.com and join the 11 million men worldwide who put their faith in Manscaped. You can use my code PINTS20 for 20% off plus free delivery. The Chairman Pro, out now, game changer. What is my favorite craft stout? What do I go to if I'm not in the mood for a Guinness? So over on my Instagram, if you're following that, you would have seen I have visited like 6 or 7 breweries over the last kind of 3 or 4 months. I used to know absolutely nothing about craft beers. I still know nearly absolutely nothing about craft beers, but I've learned, I would say, this much over the last few months of visiting these breweries, talking to brewers. It's just been a bloody good time. And so I decided I'm going to put a few kind of craft stouts up against each other. Now again, look, some people could argue what kind of comes under the craft stout bracket. We obviously know the likes of Guinness, Murphy's Beamish, Black Forge. Those ones are kind of big dogs. They're the mainstream. They're in pubs everywhere. Then you've got certain brands like maybe O'Hara's, which would be in a lot of pubs, but I think is still able to be considered a craft stout. Also, for the sake of this video, I'm only going off of what I could get in can form. I think it's just kind of pointless comparing a craft stout in a bottle to a craft stout in a can. For me, the cans are always going to be nicer. So I put it out on Instagram. I said, lads, what are your favorite craft stouts to drink at home? And in terms of what you can get in can form, these were the 4 most recommended. So we're going to go through them, rate them, and I guess the idea of this is to, as the silly season, festive season approaches, I'm not going to say the C word just yet, don't worry. But yeah, look, as the festive season approaches, some of you will be looking out for a bit of an alternative to Guinness over the next few winter months. Right, let's get down to business. Oh, I was going to smash that on the table, but I better not. First up, O'Hara's Irish Stout. Again, this is a very popular stout. You'd find this in a lot of shops and in a lot of pubs, but it still qualifies as a craft stout, according to me. Also, instead of going for the classic pint glass, because some of these aren't even 500 mils, and I'm not going to drink a full pint and then taste the next one. This is a tasting experience, lads. We've matured on this channel. Have we fuck? So I've got this cool little glass. This is actually from Oh Brother Brewing. Right, let's get down to business. So we're talking a little 4.3%. That's pretty standard for a stout. Guinness is 4.2, and this is brewed in Carlow. Oosh, quite the feckin' sound on that. Let's get this straight in. Oh, baby. Now, can you see that? Can you see me now? Looks bloody beautiful. Obviously the head is going to be bigger on this glass because the top of it narrows. There's a few bubbles in it, but you're always going to get that when you dunk it in from a can. Stout's no real major strong smell, never really is unless there's something crazy in it. Look at me talking as if I've learned one iota of information over the last 5 years of doing this and holding the glass at the stem. Look at this fella. Sláinte. Cheers, O'Hara's. That's bloody good, that. I took a good gulp as well. That's really tasty, really creamy. I don't think you can compare, like I said already, you cannot compare a stout in a can to a stout in a bottle. I know it's like when I used to do the Guinness in a can compared to the Guinness Foreign Extra, and I've come around to the Foreign Extra. I don't hate it as much as I used to, but I'm still never gonna drink it over a nice creamy pint slash whatever unit of measurement this is of nice creamy stout, do you know what I mean? So yeah, we'll forget about the bottles anyway, but that is gorgeous, very sessionable. That's a big word I've learned in the craft beer industry over the last few months. Just so creamy. Probably getting more chocolate notes than coffee notes. And fun fact, I'm gonna give this to you. If you might you probably already know this because you're not an absolute moron like me, but probably the biggest thing I learned, and now, to be fair, I learned this about 2 years ago, but embarrassingly, I didn't know it before that. And you might not know this, you probably will, but you might not know this. When people say coffee notes, chocolate notes, that is not a case of the brewers having a big batch of stout and then putting in a bit of chocolate or putting in a bit of coffee. That is a case of with the barley, the more they roast it, the different kind of notes. So if they roast it a certain amount, it's got chocolatey notes. If they roast it to nearly tasting like it's burnt, and I literally was in the factories tasting the little grains, and some of them will be super roasted, borderline burnt. They would be like the coffee notes. And if they're a little bit less dark, a little bit more of a lighter brown, they're the chocolate notes. Now again, you probably knew that, but if you didn't, fun fact, you learn something every day. Well, not on this channel, but maybe in your general life. Anyway, that's just really, really tasty. I could drink a heap of them. That just goes down super easy. And also anyone who was watching this channel for a bloody youngster in the big COV and I tried the Kilkenny cream ale, I had a similar reaction when I was down in the O'Hara's brewery in Carlow when I tried their Irish red ale. Creamy as anything, and that's creamy as anything. There's something creamy in the water down in Carlow. That is just gorgeous. So creamy, so silky, goes down so smoothly. Easily a 9 out of 10. Right, next up is a small, tiny little can, but you better believe it packs a punch. This is from Black's Brewery all the way down in Kinsale. I was there a couple of months ago. They've got a brewery and a distillery both under one roof. It's absolutely class. I would highly recommend going down right on the river. Got a full functioning bar. You can sit outside. It's absolutely unbelievable spot. And this is the World's End Chocolate Vanilla Imperial Stout. ABV 8%. So I'm going in this particular order kind of for a reason. I wanted to start off with one that would kind of ease me into it. I've tasted all these before, like, but I knew the other one would be this would be quite an easy one to drink. Ease me into this, and then this is just straight. Like even the can, I love the can. Everything is just black. It's like no fucking messing about. Rich, luxurious imperial stout brewed with fair trade cacao beans and Madagascan vanilla pods. Woo! Already getting the aroma from about 6 inches away, letting the bubbles kind of settle down. Anytime you pour stout out of a can, it's going to be bubbly as fuck. You remember, Jesus Christ, during COVID when we were trying to figure out the best way to pour a can of Guinness, and lads were just literally going dunk. Michael Jordan, absolute slam dunk on that thing, and the bubbles would just be outrageous. I don't know if you can see in this on the close-up, the bubbles are quite large, which would suggest it's definitely not as creamy and smooth as a stout that is maybe 4%. Now, whether that is the reason, I'm not too sure. That kind of mimics more what you would get in a bottle. Large bubbles, lots of air in there, kind of like a Coca-Cola. It's more like a Coca-Cola than maybe a Guinness, but it's still a bit of a creamy head. Yeah, quite the craft stout aroma. Big hit of vanilla from the get-go. Now, I have tried this once. It was down at the brewery and I don't really remember. Not that I was pissed. It was just a couple of months ago. I don't remember the exact taste. But it is tasty, and like 3-4 years ago, during COVID, when I was going down to the local off license and just grabbing a load of random craft beers to review, if I tried this then, I would have probably spat it out and hated it because my palate was so disgracefully juvenile. It's still not a whole lot better, but it has, with age anyway, I'm 31 now, it's definitely developed somewhat, and then actually talking to brewers about what goes into the beers and the stouts and stuff, it's, yeah, I feel ever so slightly more qualified to talk about this sort of thing than I was before. It's tasty again, like that's probably one I always think, like, you know, maybe a little Christmas Eve or Stephen's Day kind of drink that you can sip away on one of them and you probably don't mind if it goes not warm, but if you don't need it to stay cold the whole time. You might sip away on that for half an hour to an hour. You're not kind of guzzling it down, but again, it's only 330 ml, so there's not a whole lot of drinking in it, but it is tasty. You just wouldn't have a sip every kind of, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes like you would with a regular stout. And if you do take time in between sips, I actually think it's very, very enjoyable. You think it's going to just be some absolutely mad drink, World's End, chocolate vanilla imperial stout, all these words coming at you. Yeah, it's a sipper, but a really tasty sipper at that. A lot of vanilla notes definitely coming at you. Look at me saying the word notes. Yeah, I know I would have hated that a few years ago, and I can't believe how much I actually like it now. I have learned, I have been educated. Easily go, for what it is, 8.5 out of 10. Couldn't complain. Really nice sip away on that. Somebody pour me a drink, somebody pour me a smoke, somebody get out of the way, somebody get over the road. Okay, the third and penultimate stout we are trying today is from Oh Brother Brewing. It is made in Wicklow. Man, there's a lot of breweries in Wicklow. There's Oh Brother Brewing. Wicklow Wolf is the last can I'm going to try. And then I know at the Dublin Beer Fest I tried a stout from just Wicklow Brewing Company. So yeah, it's all going down in Wicklow in terms of breweries. But anyway, Oh Brother Brewing, 4.5%. So again, you're talking Guinness is 4.2. That's kind of the standard ABV for a stout. Similar to the last one, it's got that blacked out can. It's pretty badass. Let's try this. But this actually looks very, very similar to the Black's Brewery 8% one I just tried. So the kind of creamy look to it definitely has nothing to do with the ABV because it's only 4.5%. Definitely a bit more of an aroma off of that than you would expect from like a 4.5%. Oh, it's a milk stout. I should have known it's a milk stout. Anyway, we live and learn. Get it into ya. Slunch it, mate. Definitely a lot more kind of carbonated than your typical creamy pint of stout. The only one that's been like your typical anything that to resemble a Guinness has been the first one, the O'Hara's Nitro Stout. But again, if it says nitro, that means it's obviously nitrogenated. Anyway, we're losing the run of ourselves here. But this is tasty. Like that's, at the end of the day, it's tasty. But yeah, you just kind of, I wouldn't mind that. This would, for me, so I was saying at the start of the video about like bottled stout, not a whole lot of creaminess going on. And for me, like, I'm old school. I'm probably not, I don't even mean old school, but I'm basic. I'm always going to be basic. When you say the word stout to me, first thing I'm going to think is it creamy? Is it rich? This is definitely rich. It's definitely smooth, but it's not creamy. But it's a milk stout, so I can't imagine the aim is to be creamy. That is nice to actually give you that slight like milk sensation, which is crazy to get from a stout. Not my favorite thing I've ever tried, but I'm sure for the kind of milk stout enthusiasts, it is like quality wise, it seems perfect. Just a little bit kind of fizzy, carbonated for me. Not right up my street, but still a very tasty drink. I go, for me personally, 7.5 out of 10. Still would happily sip on a couple of them. Right, fourth and final stout is a Wicklow Wolf Apex Oatmeal Stout. And again, I was actually down in the Wicklow Wolf Brewery only a few weeks ago. And I said, you know, why is it called Apex? They said, because the wolf is the apex predator out in the wild. I know certain stouts, not really in beers, but certain stouts do add oats. But the fact that it's 6.5%, I'm trying to work out why it is that little, like kind of 2% higher than a typical Champions. A heavy malt bill, so heavy on the malt side. Brewed with only the best flaked Irish oats. Okay, less talking, more drinking. Again, not looking super creamy. It's funny, the first one is the only one that kind of, I guess, yeah, the O'Hara's was, the O'Hara's Nitro Stout is the only one that actually says nitro on the can. I presume that would insinuate that it's the only one that's going to be super creamy because it's full of nitrogen. This again looks very similar, large bubbles, that kind of Coca-Cola effect, kind of like what you would get out of a bottle. In my opinion, it doesn't smell like an old bowl of porridge now. That's delicious though. That's delicious again. 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would have had no time for that, but it's not overly powerful in any of the sort of flavors. Like when I taste something, I don't want to be able, as crazy as it sounds, I don't want to be able to think that's very heavy on this note or that note. It's not like I love these particular notes that I want a stout or a beer to be heavy on. I want to drink it and it goes down easily, and then I have to kind of work out what the notes and the flavors are in my head as I sip away. That's what I like. It's really easy to drink. Surprisingly easy at 6.5%. Not creamy at all, but I preferred it to, again, this isn't a milk stout, this is an Oatmeal stout. Wasn't crazy on the milk stout. Don't think I've tried different craft milk stouts over the past. Don't think I've ever been crazy about them. There's certain type of like the kind of milky dairy kind of taste to them. This, despite not tasting like a typical bowl of porridge oats that you'd be used to, this is really delicious, and it's not creamy at all, but it's really, really nice. You do get a good strong smell when you bring it up to your lips, and then it's like boom in the nostrils. But yeah, despite not being creamy, I really think that is an extremely tasty drink, and I would give that, I'll give it an 8. We'll stick to the kind of round, we'll stick to the kind of round and half numbers. So we have a 7.5, an 8, an 8.5, and a 9. No surprise that the lowest ABV, most simple kind of nitro stout gets the highest number for me. But I don't think I'm ever gonna change in that sense. I'm always gonna like a nice, creamy bit of stout, whether it comes out of a can, a bottle, a pint. Give me creamy, thick head on top of that glass every day of the week. But 4 really, really nice stouts, 4 really, really different stouts. Let me know in the comments what your favorite kind of craft stout is that you can, buy in a shop. Might do a version with bottles as we come a little bit closer to Christmas, because I just think I love having kind of different options. But I love around the Christmas period, there's those random in-between days during the festive period where you don't even know what day it is, you don't know your own name, and you just want to crack open a can or a bottle of something and just kind of have a sip. And that's what we're here for. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.